Yeah. So let's look at the next slide, David. All right, now you probably can't see that title very well. This is rosemary. Again, it's an officinalis, so it's been a medicine a long time. Rosmarinus is the Latin name, Rosmarinus officinalis. Ros means dew, and marinus means of the sea. So this is a Mediterranean plant that grows on the cliff sides around the Mediterranean, and a lot of its water is actually from the dew. It doesn't actually need a lot of water in your garden. In fact, it doesn't like water. You have to grow it in a fairly dry, sandy kind of soil. Let's have the next picture, David. I've got some nice close-ups of this one. Yeah, keep going. Yeah. So, rosemary, one of my favorite plants. I'm just about to reorder. I had 120 rosemary bushes that died last winter in the cold. So they were 4 years old and they were about 3 foot high, and I was very distressed. So I'm going to try again. I've got a new bed in the south side of the garden now where hopefully they'll be a little bit more protected, because it is a Mediterranean plant and I live far enough north that it didn't like the cold nights. So Shakespeare wrote about rosemary. He said, rosemary for remembrance. And that is still how we use rosemary. By and large, it's used for increasing circulation to the brain. So it literally sends blood to the head. So if you have any kind of memory loss, whether that's just because you're a student trying to memorize too much, or because you've got some kind of dementia, maybe you've had some kind of brain injury that's caused some memory loss, anything that you want to get more brain power, really. It's also useful for a number of related conditions like tinnitus, that's ringing in the ears, a number of eye conditions where there's impaired circulation to the eye, even certain types of headaches, the kinds of headaches that have a tight band around the head, like a constrictive feeling, maybe you feel a bit chilly, those would be a good indication for using rosemary. Like the sage, it's in the mint family. Like the sage and the garlic, it has all those essential oils, so when you're making your tea, you want to keep the lid on, make sure you capture the steam. And again, you can use rosemary to put into honeys, oils, vinegars. All of these aromatic herbs actually can be extracted into those mediums very, very nicely to make a food product for your kitchen. But of course, if you have access to a rosemary plant, you can just go pick a branch and pull the leaves off and chop them up and put them into your dishes. Rosemary is extremely antioxidant, so much so that extracts of rosemary are now being used in the food industry as a preservative. Because a lot of our preservatives, BHT, BHA, they're very toxic. And so the food industry is responsive to the public demand. And as we get more and more educated about the importance of clean, healthy foods, the food industry, to some extent, pays attention. And rosemary extract is something that is sort of on the rise now. Certainly in the natural food industry, it's being used quite a bit as a preservative. And the only caution I would tell you, David, let's look at one more picture here. Yeah. The only caution I would suggest to you with rosemary is that because it sends blood to the head, if you have high blood pressure, or if you have the kind of headaches that are expanding when your head is going to blow open, maybe you're flushed, maybe your eyes are a bit bloodshot, that's not a good indication for rosemary. You don't want more blood up there. If you've got high blood pressure, you might end up with headaches, and if you have headaches, you might make them worse. That aside, it's considered a very safe herb. Now, what I didn't say about sage and rosemary, let's have one more slide, David. Yeah, a real close-up. What I didn't say about the sage and the rosemary both is that in that mint family, where they have all those volatile or essential oils, those oils also tend to be very helpful at settling down the digestive system. There's a word for that in herbal medicine. You know, we love jargon. We have a word for everything. And the word is carminative, C-A-R, carminative. What that means is herbs which are rich in volatile oils, which help the muscles of the gut to coordinate and regulate. So the long muscles and the circular muscles around the gut need to be coordinated so that food and gas moves smoothly through the system and doesn't build up and cause uncomfortable symptoms of bloating and colic and so on. So all of the mint family, including the sage, including the rosemary, and mint itself, of course, are very, very useful at soothing the digestive system, soothing and smoothing the digestive system. So if you're vulnerable to indigestion, gas, bloating, belching, then you're going to want to take these in your diet because they will help to facilitate the nice, smooth onward movement of your foods.